Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Diversity is Lit Book Club monthly discussion. Last month in May, we read Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega, and that is the book that we will be talking about today. Yay! I love it. Sometimes I want to just listen to the audiobook, but I'm like, I need to physically have it to show. And then I have my Diversity is Lit shelf, so I like
yeah,
but so the struggle is real. But anyways, we are very happy to have you all here. If you don't know, we read one book by a BIPOC author every month, and then we talk about it during a fun live stream discussion like we will today. So before I have everyone introduce themselves, I do want to give my quick disclaimer spiel that we will be talking spoilers for Witchlings. So if you haven't read the book, you can go read the book and then watch the discussion. Or if you don't care about spoilers or you read the book, then feel free to keep watching. And also the trigger warnings for Witchlings include bullying, starvation, child abuse, mention in a vague context, violence, assault via magic, death, and oppression. So on that uplifting note, I should probably change the order of that, but I didn't want to forget because I know sometimes I forget. Anyways.
Yeah. And those are important. They're so important.
Yes. Nia is here. Hello, Nia. Welcome.
Hi.
I know she was excited to talk about Witchlings, so happy to see you here. And Cool Gamer is here. Hello. So if you don't know me, my name is Holly. I'm a kidlit writer working on a YA fantasy. Love reading all genres and age categories. And we haven't read a middle grade in a very, very long time. And we don't have very many middle grades for our monthly picks. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about it today.
Oh, I'll go next.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Beasley. I write under the pen name T.A. Beasley. I am a young adult and adult thriller writer, as well as a podcaster. And I'm happy to be talking about Witchlings today.
Good to see you, T. I am Alicia Grumling, and you can find me online at writer Alicia Grumling everywhere. I am a poet. I'm a nonfiction advocate writer. I do a little bit of YA fantasy. I do a little bit of everything. I have some children's books in the wings over here because my full-time job puts me in direct contact with children for many days of the week, all of the days of the week, as it were. So I am also excited to be talking about Witchlings, and I feel like both of the middle grades that we've read, so this one and then Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky was one of our other ones. Do we have any other than that?
I guess Beast
technically
and
the Beast.
Yeah, technically Beast and Beauty.
Oh,
right?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess that one does too. But I feel like even though we don't have a lot of middle grades, I genuinely enjoy the middle grades that we do end up picking. And I'm like Holly, I kind of read widely across genre. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yay. We're happy you're here. Hey everybody, I'm Heather Venkat. I write YA and middle grade fantasy and contemporary, and I read everything.
I mean, that's it. Like, that's what we are. When you're a book addict, like we are, you just read it all,
Everything.
Yeah, you read across the genre. You read, to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. So, and
let us know.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, and let us know in the comments, like, what you guys like to read. Genres, age categories. Are you guys also an everything reader?
Because we do have suggestions on our Goodreads page. So like if you're like seeing some genre or not seeing a genre represented, like a couple months ago, we had our first poetry book in, March. We talked about Amanda Gorman's Call Us What You Carry. So it helps us to figure out which books to put up to vote for each month if you guys let us know on the Goodreads page any suggestions you have.
That's true. Good point. Thanks for adding that.
And I'm Vanessa. Vanessa Marie. You can find me at Vanessa Marie Books all across the internet. I write YA, fantasy, paranormal, and horror, but of course I read everything as well. Yeah, so I'm super excited about Witchlings.
And Vanessa is the diverse reads and diverse author like queen with her series. So definitely check that out. Talking about diversity. And speaking of which, I still, hopefully soon, I will be planning and announcing our 2-year anniversary party. So that will hopefully be in the works, because technically July was the first was our first month where we were reading our book. So yeah, so be on the lookout for news about our anniversary party. Yay. I'm so grateful to have all of these lovely women that have like stuck with me and the club for 2 years. I'm really grateful. So
Wow, time flies.
yeah.
It does.
Wow.
2 years. It's crazy. Nia says I'm a notorious genre hopper, middle grade on up. Yes, I love it. Well, especially like you working on your graphic novel, and then like you just do everything. So, or is it? Wait, is it a graphic novel or a picture book? I thought it was a graphic novel, but correct me if I'm wrong. So we are going into Witchlings, and usually my Goodreads reviews are pretty. And it's like, for how much I read and write about the books, they're usually pretty vague, because I want to like save like the bulk of what I want to discuss like for the discussion. But I actually did like write a decent amount for Witchlings when I finished it. And so the first thing that we're going to discuss is what are your general overall thoughts on the book? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What, if you rated it on Goodreads, what would you rate it? So I did want to go first, because this one was very interesting for me, and something that that hasn't happened to me yet with one of the books that we've read for the book club. But I came off of, like, I was totally on this middle grade kick. That's why I voted for Witchlings, because I was reading quite a few middle grade fantasies up until the book poll, and like absolutely loved this one series that I read. I actually listened to the audiobooks for. And so then I started reading Witchlings, and I just was like still on this like book hangover from the other middle grade fantasy. And I was like, man, like I just keep thinking about the other one, and I don't want to compare this book to it, but I kind of am, and I don't mean to, it just happens. So I was kind of frustrated, because I'm like, I really am trying to enjoy this more than I kind of am right now. But there was just something that was just kind of off. But I was still enjoying reading it, and I probably read about 60 pages, and I was like, you know what, I really just want to consume this faster. I'm going to listen to the audiobook instead. I know it's going to make me take less notes and find less quotes than if I was like reading the physical copy, but I'm just going to listen to the audiobook. And it was a game changer for me. I loved it. And so it was crazy, because I think that I just needed, like, I was reading the words and not being able to get into the middle grade voice and mindset, because I was kind of hearing it and reading it with my own lens. But listening to the narrator, I was able to kind of connect to it a bit more. And it just was weird. I was like, I don't know what's happening, but like now all of a sudden it is clicking, and I ended up loving it. So I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads, rated it a 4.5. But yeah, it was just this weird turn where I like switched it, and all of a sudden it made such a difference. So I don't know if just like hearing those middle grade voices and, you know, there's some older characters in here. So just kind of those switches, I don't know. But anyways, I really did enjoy it. The magic, the culture, you know, with like the Spanish spells and just like the cute world building with like the shush rooms was just like an Edgar Allan Toad was just like really cute and endearing. And yeah, I was able to relate to them so much better. So it was just this really weird thing for me that I couldn't believe, but I absolutely loved it. So yeah, that was my initial thoughts.
Right.
I will kind of jump on to Holly's bandwagon because I had a similar, not quite, but a little bit of a similar issue where I had just gotten done reading another middle grade before this one, and I loved that one so much. You guys heard me talk about that one in our group chat. And I just kept thinking about that one. So I was like, I wanted to pick this one up to read, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't stop thinking about the other one. So I kind of don't want to pick this one up to read. But I'm running out of time, so I have to. And so I picked it up. And of course, I always do audio and physical book together. And so right when I started reading and listening to the narrator, I was like, oh, this is good. This is so good. And I like flew through it in one day. So
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh yes, audio, graphic novel. Cool. Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
I definitely pulled a oops, I was up too late reading again moment reading it because I so all that to say is I enjoyed it. I had started it and I was working through it, you know, just here and there, but I think because it's middle grade, it was going very quickly for me. So I don't normally read a lot of middle grade. So I was like fresh and ready for a middle grade and kind of coming off that one where we were all like, it was good. We're glad we read it, but you know, we weren't necessarily connecting with any of the characters. This one felt just like fresh and fun to me. So I was invested in it pretty quickly. And then I didn't think I was going to finish it the night I finished it. And I was like reading it and I realized I only had, you know, like 100 pages left. And then but I didn't read it that night. You know, some people can read and go, not necessarily one of those people because we all know I'm an extrovert and like when characters are well developed, it feels like having a conversation to me, which is the thing that wakes me up. So, you know, I probably shouldn't have started reading it at 11 p.m. that night, but it was like 1:30 and I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad I finished it at 1:30. Oops. Like I try not to do that on work night. So I enjoyed it. I was a pretty solid. It was a solid 4.5 for me. So I enjoyed it.
Yay.
Okay. Heather, you want to go?
Sure, I'll go. I ended up reading it entirely via the audiobook. And I've been traveling a lot for work and I had quite a few trips. So I almost felt like I listened to it too quickly. And didn't give myself time to like digest. And so because I was driving, I also didn't take good like I usually take decent notes in between, and I just kind of just like you guys, like I kind of just devoured it and like didn't take breaks. Finished it pretty quickly. I really enjoyed it. I felt the same way you guys did. One thing I did notice, I'm not sure if any of you noticed this, and I don't know if this could be the case for other audiobooks, but I felt like it was more obvious for Witchlings, but I felt like I can't remember now if it was Seven's voice or the other characters. Oh no, Alicia, we lost her. Or if it was the other characters. This is just audiobook specific, but when I was listening to it, I felt like I kept having to change the volume because I think when she was talking as Seven, it was like a lot louder than when she was talking as the side characters. And then sometimes like it'd be hard for me to hear that. So then, but then if I turned it up, then like when Seven started talking, it'd be a lot louder than.
You know what? I didn't make the connection, but there were times where I was like, oh, did I accidentally like smush against the volume button and it like went down? But in retrospect, I'm like, oh yeah, it was kind of changing volume, but I thought I was just accidentally pressing stuff sometimes.
Yeah, they did that, and I don't know why, because you could tell like she had good enough voice changes. Like, and even if not, like just say, you know, Valley said, or, you know, whatever. But I felt like that threw me off a little bit sometimes, because I'm like, who just said this? And then I just didn't go back, you know. So, but other than that, top notch for me. I thought it was very cute. Like, that was the first thing I thought. I was listening to it, I'm like, this is so cute.
There she is.
Yay.
Sorry, my phone got a little wonky on me.
You're okay.
It kicked me out. But Teresa, did you say you enjoyed it as well?
I did. Well, when I first started reading it, I ended up with the flu, so then of course everything was all blurry and stuffy, and it was horrible. And so I had to put it aside, and then I picked it back up.
Okay.
But I did like it. I liked it for a lot of the same reasons: the world building, the characters, and I love the names of these characters in this book. Oh my God, they were so adorable. But then also while I was reading it, I kind of felt
I like that a lot
like
too.
I was in
I
this.
Felt like, at first, like when I was reading some of those names that were not typical names, but were more like adjective or, you know, adverb type names, I had to like, oh my God.
The names were so cute. I had to write some of them down. But another thing that I noticed when I was reading was that I kept going into like protective mode. I found myself as I was reading, I was like, oh my God. And I could feel like different emotions in some of the parts of the book, but I know we'll get into those a little bit later. But I did like it. I gave it a 4, which I think I need to put that on Goodreads. I did give it a 4. But I really did like the book. I thought it was wonderful. And after reading so many adult books, this was like a wonderful break in reading middle grade that I didn't know I needed, but I really did need.
Because we've been reading some heavy books, so you know, and there were some heavy themes in here, but you know, some of the book pull options, like they had huge lists of trigger warnings. When I found them, I'm like, oh gosh, this looks bad. Right. So this was very refreshing, and crazy to think that really, I mean, other than Beast and Beauty and Tristan Strong, it's been a while, and we had gotten on our thriller kick for a while last year. So I like that we can kind of switch it up with genres and age categories, and like the poetry and indie books and things like that. And themed books, wink for June, but Mia said, I hybrid read this story too. I love the voice. It pulled me into the story. Yes. Yeah. And I totally agree. I was worried because I recently read Amari and loved it so much. So the break between middle grades helped me jump in and enjoy it. We all love Amari.
Love that book. Yes.
We actually didn't read it for.
I was going to say, there's a story behind that.
Yeah, we didn't. It may have been. Was it ever a pick?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think Vanessa read it, loved it, and then I think maybe we had like another book, like, I don't know, so that we just all read it on our own, and then we all loved it. So, and the sequel's coming out in August, I think. So,
yes.
Yeah, I have not read that one yet. So that's one. I know you all read it and like loved it, but I have not had a chance to pick up Amari yet. So I was gonna say, but I do know you all loved it.
I don't reread books very often, but that is one I'm going to reread before I read the sequel. So, yeah. Which, speaking of which, supposedly there will be a sequel to Witchlings, which is very exciting. Oh no.
Yeah.
I'll let her in whenever she comes back. So let's see. Yeah, so did you guys have any favorite parts of the book as far as characters, scenes, things that you loved, things that you wished were done better?
Let's see.
Yes, I can't wait for 2. It will be a reread. Yeah.
I did like when the babysitter was there and was supposed to be watching them, and the babysitter falls asleep. And my favorite part about that is on page 197 when it says she was watching real witch wives of Hastings on pumpkins. That I thought was hilarious.
Oh, it's like I love those little nods at things in real life.
I was like, oh my God, they have reality TV in Witchlings. It was just a name. It was so cute.
It's adorable.
Yeah. Two parts that I really liked. One was kind of along that same chapter, a scene later when they're in Beefy's room with the what's it called again? The monster.
The Cuckoos.
Yeah, the Cuckoos. And Beefy is like beaten up on little baby. I love how they described it because I'm just picturing this little baby in this crib, and he's like punching and kicking.
Did that remind anyone of Jack from The Incredibles?
Yes.
Yes.
So I love that scene. It was so funny. And then another thing I liked was, their whole obsession with the book. What was the name of the book again? That they all loved.
The Witches of something.
Something.
Of the heart something cove.
Yes.
But yeah, I love their obsession with the witches because it just totally reminds me of fangirling over favorite books and stuff and talking about it with friends. But then the epilogue, when she finds out that I'm forgetting everyone's name now.
Valley.
Valley's
mom.
Valley's mom was the writer, the author for favorite series. And she's like, how did you guys think I had the advanced copy so early? No one.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. I didn't pick up on the fact that they were like super early because we're in a writing community where it's just like, yeah, like of course arcs are like a thing. Like, somebody has an arc sometimes. Like, that was like funny.
That's what I was thinking too. I thought it was something like, she had an arc of the book or something.
Yeah, we didn't realize she was the alpha reader.
I really like that part at the end when she finds her favorite author is her best friend's mom and gushes over it. And then I also appreciate that chapter. Something else they did was how the mom thanked her for getting help for Valley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was done so well where, kind of Seven first kind of brought it up and Seven Valley was not wanting to open up about it, but as they grew in their friendship, she was able to divulge that. And then that was one of the things that helped them bond, because she was able to see that like Valley was kind of misunderstood and that there was a lot going on behind the scenes. But that they did take it to the adults and they did have a resolution for that. I really appreciated.
I really, really enjoyed that progression of, you know, the relationship between Valley and Seven, like starting off, like, you know, she just hated, you know, her, but
enemies to friends trope.
Yeah.
It was so adorable. And, you know, I felt like she did it in a believable way too. You know, it wasn't super sudden. But like slowly and surely she's like, oh yeah, yeah, my friends, like, you know, she kind of like catches herself being like, oh, I'm like laughing with her and like enjoying talking with her.
Yeah.
And I like that they talk later on and she realizes she's been misinterpreting Valley's actions. And like, you know, she was just so anxious and like wanting to be a friend, but not knowing how to go about it. And everything she does kind of like backfired on her, and
it's so weird.
It did.
Yeah.
So weird.
Was she the twin, or was Thorn the twin, or Valley the twin?
Thorn was the twin.
What?
Thorn had a twin.
Yeah, because I thought, like, I don't know if one of the scenes I liked, she's like, oh, your brother is, like, cute. And she's like, I look exactly like him. Like, are you saying I'm cute?
Yeah.
The rats. Oh. I love it.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh my gosh. But I also love how like her twin brother was Petal, because you know how all the names are a prophecy, right? Like in this world, every name is passed down from the Gran and it's a prophecy. And so her brother being Petal, I thought was really nice, because in my head, Petal would be more of the feminine name, maybe. Because, you know, like there's like femininity in flowers and, you know, like all of that, right? But so like Petal and Thorn, I thought were like a really nice compliment of each other. I thought Claribel did a really nice job of that.
I love that too.
Yes, breaking the stereotypes. And I've got a Muko.
Yeah.
I've got my black heart. I'm a witch.
Yeah, you must.
You're a witchling.
We're in a coven. The diversity is lit coven.
No.
We are bound.
all the people are welcome.
So speaking of friendships and relationships done really well, one of the relationship dynamics that I really appreciated and enjoyed reading was between Seven and Poppy.
Yeah.
Because that was like, oh my gosh, Poppy girl, you are like, your head is in the clouds. You are totally ignoring Seven and making her feel like she's an outcast when like she already feels like an outcast being, you know, a witchling. And you're laughing and ignoring her and all this stuff. And, you know, Seven was strong enough to confront her about it and say, like, you know, I feel like you're abandoning me. What's going on? And, you know, she didn't, you know, she was upset, but then she didn't just make all of these assumptions after the fact. Like, she probably learned from her misinterpretations of things with Valley that she needed to resolve things with Poppy and try to figure out like what's going on, so that she, you know, could kind of rekindle that friendship. So I really liked those dynamics.
I did too, but I also thought it was really realistic how Poppy was portrayed, because like that is a total like 12-year-old, 11-year-old girl thing that can happen so easily, you know, like if you have to figure out how to define friendship and you have to figure out, you know, what it means to be a good friend. And like, you know, like Poppy was living her dream. Right. And so like she was learning to balance. And I thought it was really, just, yeah, like I said, like Holly said, like well done all around, but all like realistic too. It was realistic in how that happened and how like awkwardness of Valley, like her misunderstandings. Like, you gave me mayonnaise because you said your hair was frizzy. Awkward. Like, I think she did a really good job. So either she remembers, like Claribel, either remembers what it's like to be, like a middle schooler, or had some really good interactions with middle schoolers, or like did a lot of observations or something, because I feel like those dynamic of middle schoolers came across very well, like all around.
Yeah, most
I
definitely.
also liked when they disguised themselves as the old women. Oh my god! And they went to the whole meeting as the older women.
That was hilarious.
But they got caught, didn't they?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, their disguise is going to come off, and of course it starts switching back, and they get caught. I'm like, oh man. I had a feeling they were going to get caught, but it was a good disguise at first. But I was like, they're going to get caught, and of course they did.
Yeah.
Good. It wasn't. They didn't make it easy for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like you can also kind of tell that, and not that we know how old Claribel is, but I feel like she has to be kind of a contemporary of the five of us in age, because I felt so many like Harry Potter parallels here. And like from, like, I have a note specifically like Pixel, like the spare that she meets and like that she sees being treated as a slave. I'm like, oh, that's Dobby, like that's Dobby with Malfoy's, right? And like even like the splitting into the different covens and the colors. So I feel like there was a lot of really influential parts of Harry Potter, like in this author's style of writing.
She did say she got her influence from Harry Potter.
Oh, nice. Where did she say that, Vanessa? Did you is it an interview or something you read?
I'm trying to see. I think, did she say it in the?
Did she say it like an acknowledgement or the Arthur note or anything?
That's what I'm looking for, because I remember hearing it in the audio book.
Okay.
But I think the audio book had a little bit more than what my physical book has.
Okay.
She does. Oh yeah, she does talk afterwards, doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't see it in any of the acknowledgments. I'm just scanning real quick, and in anything about the author, I don't see it in there. So it must have been an audiobook.
Yeah.
Goodie or something, or like something.
That's also how I know there's gonna be a sequel. She talked about it a little bit in the audio.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I just looked online. She's 36. So
36. Yeah, I mean.
Oh
wait, well this was posted March 13th, 2020. This article.
So
she's 38.
Right.
So she's 38 now.
Yeah.
That still feels like somebody who would have grown up reading Harry Potter to me, right? Like,
and she says, I guess on her Twitter, she said, "Get the book TikTok is calling yassified Harry Potter."
Yassified. Can we make that a thing?
I love that. Yeah, I felt like there were a lot of, but like in a well done way, like where if she was like describing this to someone, she could be like, Harry Potter meets, like, I don't know what, like a mean or like a middle grade one, but like there's some really nice parallels. I thought.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was clicking out of that article because I'm like, what?
Vanessa, did she say in the back of or like at the end of the audiobook, like when the sequel was scheduled to be released? Did she mention if it's like?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I stopped like 2 minutes early in the audio. I think I missed her.
Oh, no.
Her thing. So I was like, wait, this doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was an audio or there was going to be a sequel either, because I feel like the ending wraps everything up nice enough. It's like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. But
she said there's going to be like a new mystery and new characters and some old favorites.
Oh, good.
Oh,
good.
So that was like the other thing that she did so well was the mystery aspect of it. It was like there's literally like every genre thrown in here, like because it was like, you know, when I first started reading it, I'm like, okay, the big bad beast, the villain is the night beast, you know, and all this stuff. But then it opened up and it's like, whoa, there's so much more than just this whole night beast thing. And to throw in the elements of, you know, kind of this classism and, you know, with the spares not having rights and then them trying to take away more of their rights and fighting for that with the meetings that they were having to try to change it, and then just being like them figuring out like, whoa, wait, every time there's a Kuko attack, what was it, the Kukos, like is during these meetings when before we can talk about these spares and trying to like retain their rights. And so I just loved that, because really, and for me, I was like, I have no idea who done it. I have no idea what's going on. So that's why I flew through it, because it was just done so well, I think.
Yeah. I have in various parts of my notes, I have like prediction, not a night beast, something to do with the spares made into toads. And that was before the 100th page. And then like as we were getting down more, are the cuckoos the old spares? So even though I was on this track, I was still like trying to like piece it together. But I was like, no, there's something off about that. Like I know there's something off about that, and I was like pulling it out. You know, like T, I'm surprised you don't do that more because of your love for Nancy Drew.
Yes, well, I have my list of suspects, and I kept thinking there is somebody that's over the Kukos and the Night Beasts. Somebody's controlling them. So it's got to be somebody within the town that's controlling these Night Beasts, because they're only showing up at specific times. So yeah, I have that in my notes. And then I had my list of suspects. I was like, maybe it's Valley's dad.
Right.
Or it's
he would be an easy one to suspect. Right. I had him on my list too. Like,
or the Dumble Fire Wire dude. Dumblewitz. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I was like, maybe he's behind it. I said, or maybe they're in cahoots together. I said, but there is somebody controlling the Night Beast and these Kukos. And I just got to figure out who that is.
I was thinking it was the Dumblewitz and Valley's dad together.
Yes.
So I was totally like, oh, it's them. And then when it turned out the uncle, I was like, whoa, I did not see that.
Yeah, that totally threw me off.
Yeah. So
I didn't even.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I didn't even have him in my list of suspects, but because he had disappeared.
Right.
And I was like, well, he was taken, so it can't be the people that were taken. It couldn't be them. Right. Because they're not, they got taken. So I didn't even have him in my list. I couldn't believe it.
I thought the uncles were being controlled. I found another prediction. Uncles being taken by the class of 65 spares. So I knew that the class of 65 spares had to be involved, right? I was like, uncles being taken by the class of 65 spares turn toads because they can talk to animals and they are somehow still alive and not copper. So I just never, I never got to the point of like, oh, of course these spares are pissed off that they were like dead and made copper. Like I didn't get there, but I was like, maybe it has something to do with that. Like I feel like if I'd have had maybe like 5 more pages like of lead up, I would have gotten there.
Oh my goodness. I'm so impressed. And I need to have a list of suspects now, because like I'm just like, oh, and shocked and stuff, and don't have any.
Like, I didn't predict any of it. And like my only thought throughout the whole thing was, I'm like, please let it not be like the grand behind everything. Like, like, but I had no idea. Like I was like, please no, just
I'm wondering if anyone
I
else.
was suspicious about the missing toads, but otherwise, I'm impressed, Alicia. That's pretty good sleuthing right there.
Yeah, that's good. And you know what? I didn't even suspect it could be the previous generation spares because of what was going on in the town and how they wanted to outcast the spares and like them as like criminals and stuff. And I was like, you know, if it was a spare, if it was someone who was a spare, you would think they would be pushing to have better laws regarding the spares. And it was the opposite. So that threw me. I didn't expect the old spares to be the ones.
Yeah, that's why they wasn't on my list for that, Vanessa. Yeah. I was thinking if it was one of them, wouldn't they be wanting to make the spares a little bit better in the town and give them privileges?
Nope.
So was that explained? Like why then they were interrupting at that point?
What, Alex?
Was that explained why there were the attacks then, like that were stopping them from trying to retain their rights?
They wanted to control all 12 towns.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't want to give anybody a chance to be free.
Got it.
Yeah, they just wanted control.
I like the mystery and trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yes, that's the best part.
Who was on your suspects list, Nia? If you had.
Oh yeah, let us know. I think too because of how Seven kept saying like nobody remembers anything about these spares, which is weird. Like the names aren't there. Their task wasn't there. Like nobody could recall nothing. They were like, nothing. Like, they're involved. I don't know how, but they're involved, and I know they're involved. But yes, she did a good job of like giving us enough clues, but still maintaining that sense of mystery. Even until the very end, right? Like it was with that. Yeah, I really like that. I really also liked how it was a matriarchal society because the Gran is the person foremost in charge. Yeah, and so I like seeing that it was a matriarchal society rather than a patriarchal one, just because that's not always the case, and that's not always the case even in middle grade stories. And so I think it's really nice for middle grade readers or adults as people who enjoy middle grade to be able to see like, yeah, women can be in power too, and like they are the foremost authority. But if you talk about like how Valley's dad and the Dimblewits over there were like, they knew that they had to get the Gran out of the picture. She's a powerful woman, and they know they can't take on nothing when she's around. And I thought that was just
they did set her up.
They set her up, and I was pissed about it. But I liked the Gran, and I liked the character of the Gran, and I liked the concept of knowing that when she's there, that everybody's protected and safe. But
I also
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I was gonna say I also like that she subverted our expectations of gender roles, kind of like what you were saying earlier, Holly, or I think Alicia, you said it with the name switch of Petal and Thorn. But then she also at the end, when Seven becomes an uncle, I was like, oh, I didn't know she would become an uncle. So I like that she did that.
Yes. Making history.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot that too.
So good.
I thought the uncle had to be a guy, so
right, because that's how we know the term, right? Your mother or father's brother.
Not in this world.
No.
Awesome.
Was there something you were going to say, Teresa?
I was just saying how I like the way she had these characters grow, mainly the Witchlings, because when I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, this is like high school where you got this group over here and you got this group over here, and the nerds are in this group. And then you got the specific people that gets bullied and are like the outcast of the school. It reminded me of that, and seeing how people treated different people in high school. And you always had the people that I would call the sparers that were treated totally different and was not accepted. And if people would have just took time to get to know those particular people, they would see that they were just like everybody else. They just were a little bit more intelligent than some of the other people. But it just reminded me of high school in some areas of it as I was reading. But I just like the way that they grew and they learned things about themselves. Because, you know, they went into this Seven not liking Valley, and then getting over that whole misunderstanding with them. And then she grew with Poppy too, because I thought her and Poppy were not going to be friends anymore because Poppy abandoned her. But then toward the end, they kind of sit down, they talk it out, and no, even though they can't be in the same covens, they can still, just because they're in different covens doesn't mean that they can't be friends. So I just like the way she did the friendships in the book.
Multiple themes, multiple lessons. Life lessons and things. I thought it was really well done without feeling too heavy, because there's so many humorous parts and lighthearted parts throughout, but then she goes over, you know, a lot of heavy stuff. And I felt like the whole book was balanced. It was really well done, and the pacing overall, like she just mastered that for sure.
She did a great job.
She really did.
I'll say I feel like as a writer, she really grew with this book, because I did read her first book, Ghost Squad.
Yes.
And I did enjoy that one, but I feel like this was this book was so much stronger, and you can see she really grew with her writing.
I definitely agree, because I read Ghost Squad too, but this
one. I
was
going to ask if anybody had
more. This one's like was a lot more memorable to me for just all of those reasons.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
I did pick up a copy of Ghost Squad, but I haven't read it yet.
But Ghost Squad is still really good. Yeah, and it's going to be a movie, so.
Oh, cool.
Netflix or in theaters, or where's it going to be?
It got picked up by. Oh, you know what? Good question.
That might be a fun one when it comes out. I'm just saying, remember we did that thing with Turning Red where we all had a conversation on Vanessa's channel. I'm just saying that might be a good one. If
you could do that again.
There's already a Ghost Squad movie. I got to pull up more than just Ghost Squad movie.
Okay.
There's one from 2015, 2018.
Popular.
I really want them to make this and adapt this into
from the director of. Yeah, so
I think that would be good.
If Ghost Squad does really well on the screen, then hopefully they'll do that for Witchlings. So it looks like the director of Brave and Come Away is going to help adapt the story.
So is it a Disney? Or is it going on Disney Plus?
I don't see anything about Disney.
Okay.
There's no news yet on where or when you can expect the movie. Yeah.
Well,
so
we'll have to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and then I think that Witchlings actually is has been on the New York Times bestseller list for a while.
Oh, that's good.
Which is really, really awesome.
It was really inspirational, because I remember when I was following her before Ghost Squad came. I know, and I still haven't read Ghost Squad, but I was following her when Ghost Squad came out on Twitter, and she didn't make bestseller right away. It took a few weeks or like a couple months. When did it come out? Like August, and then in October it like hit the New York Times best-selling list. Like something.
Wow.
And it's like that was just so inspirational. And then Witchlings was an instant bestseller. So it's like, okay, there's hope. You know, I mean, first I gotta get an agent and all that stuff, but you know, it's like it's difficult for authors who like don't hit it right away. That doesn't mean you're not going to get on the list.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
Even, like even if it's like a second book before, like it hits the list right away. Like,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to her next book, which I saw is going to be called Frizzy, about a girl who like is at odds with her hair and she's like straightening it like all the time. And so my nickname when I was younger was Miss Frizzle because my hair is really frizzy. And in high school, I struggled with, I wore a lot of heavy like gel in my hair so that the frizz wouldn't stick out. But then my hair would be like super just gross and just caked with gel. And I'm like, I need to read Frizzy because I think I'm going to relate to that. My hair is very frizzy. It's just sweaty right now, but
that's so fun. I want to read Frizzy too.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a good one for a pick when it comes out.
Yeah.
So let's move on to quotes. Any favorite quotes that we had? Because I switched to the audiobook, I didn't have I didn't like pull a lot, stop and write them down, but I do have two from when I was reading the physical book. So on page 31, 7 said, "Hard work doesn't guarantee success, only no regrets."
Yeah, I had that.
Yeah, reciting one of her parents' favorite Ravenskillian sayings. And that was like, oh, that's so true. Oh my gosh. So I love that.
That was a really good one. Yeah.
I like the one on page 315 where it says, "I knew you could do it. You might be a terrible racer, but you are a masterful fighter," said Edgar Allan Toad. And that's when I realized it. I was like, wait a minute, the toad can talk? What's going on?
I thought she described him throughout the whole thing too. Like, he's grumpy, he's ugly.
Yeah.
He's all the time.
Yeah. And then we get to this page and he's like talking to her and I'm like, wait a minute, the toad can talk? What's going on?
Yeah, I didn't know you could talk either. Actually, I was kind of confused at that part because I was like, when the toad started talking to her, and then later on when she became the uncle, I was thinking, wait, so is it because she has the same abilities? Because I think the previous uncle could talk to animals.
Animals too.
So I was thinking like maybe it's because she had that ability and that the uncle had. And so maybe it wasn't like the toad can talk to everyone, but it can talk to her.
Yeah.
So
well, didn't the Grand tell her, when they were taking her off to jail, she told her that they were more powerful than what she thought. So I was wondering if that was because of that too. But it just shocked me that the toad was talking. I was like, wait a minute. When did this toad start talking?
I really liked one on page 177. Let me get there. Hold on. Sorry. And none of you will be surprised when I read it why I liked it. Okay, so it's about almost the bottom of the page. On 177, they all stopped and turned around, Thorn lifting her chin up like Valley had taught her to. She looked defiant, not quite tough, but getting there. And I was like, oh, that is so good. So good.
Yeah.
Because when they first become their like non-coven, Valley like tips her chin up and she's like, don't you let them see you cry. Don't you let them do that. And then for her to do it on her own, just like really illustrates, I feel like, how they're all making each other stronger in their coven.
Together. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just like Valley had taught her to. Oh, that got me. That got me.
I love that.
Yes. Because I love it when my friends can, stand up for themselves and form their boundaries. And, I'm always willing to be the first one in line and like I will throw down for you, right? Mm-hmm. But I love it when you are able to throw down for yourself and you don't need me to throw down for you. I will support your ability to do that for yourself all day, every day, all day, every day. And I love that Thorn was like, all right. And she like dug in a little deeper and was like, no, I can do this with my friends. And I love that.
Yep. Yeah. Right there with you, Alicia.
I know. I know you will. Yeah.
Another one that I liked was when, actually this one was when I was listening to the audiobook and I was like chapter 15, like this quote, because it really stood out to me, was when Seven and Valley were working out their misunderstandings, and Seven said, just because she hadn't meant to hurt her didn't mean she hadn't.
Right.
And that one really stood out to me.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one.
Yeah.
This one of the things that is one of the things that they say not to do in middle grade is like, you're not supposed to be like teaching like the middle graders. Like, they will learn these lessons, but like, it's not supposed to be just like, okay, I'm learning, this is a tutorial on how not to bully and stuff. But like, when it's presented in a more natural way and like, a little more subtle and not so like in your face, like, oh, this was a great lesson to learn and I won't bully anyone like this again, so the way that she brings up these topics, and even saying something like that line is like showing a way to help with miscommunication and misunderstandings and bullying and things like that. So
yeah, I think it probably has to do with the fact that she is a middle grade narrator, right? That it's not an adult talking down or like teaching a kid like that, but it's like, oh, this middle grade reader or narrator is living this experience. So like that probably plays really far into that, I would think. But that's an interesting point. Like, I didn't know that, Holly. Thank you for sharing that, because I didn't realize that was something they said about writing in middle grade. And yeah, I feel like it was many lessons, but and lessons for us as adults that are good reminders,
Right.
Yeah, helpful for us too.
Right. Like, like, just because you don't mean to hurt someone doesn't mean you don't hurt them, right? Like, and I've had experiences like that, and experiences like that, where it's important to remember that. So it's not just for middle grade. Middle grade for all.
Oh my gosh, great.
I mean, I've heard of like so many librarians who are like, they say the middle grade books are their favorite, and it's just like, it's like when I watch Disney, I'm like, it's for all ages, and there's lessons to learn, and there's things to pull from it on all sides.
Yeah. So true.
I failed. I didn't have any quotes, but I think Vanessa has a quote.
Yeah, there were a couple of quotes that, there's a lot, but there's a couple that I really like. So on page 35, the first paragraph says, Seven had wasted so much time worrying about being anxious about being a spare, but she shouldn't have, because her greatest fear was always going to come true, wasn't it? What's meant to be will always be. She learned that long ago. Worry doesn't change life or your destiny, and worry won't change the blood red color that now glittered from Seven's amulet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wearing red today, guys, because of the color of her coven.
And then there was on page 134, when the grandma is speaking, says the grandma looked right into Seven's eyes. You don't have to do it on your own, Seven. You're never alone. Remember that. Even if the people you love and can't be by your side, they're always in your heart.
I love that. And building off that with another grand quote that I just love, near the bottom of 243, So it's that last paragraph. The Grant struggled against the security until she was able to get closer to Seven and whispered, "Do you think they would be this scared of if you were only anything? You are capable of so much more than you know. Stick together, remember." And
yes, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, when she said that, yeah. Like, you guys are more powerful than what you think.
So much heartwarming throughout the book.
Feel good.
Yeah.
Another kind of on the next page of that 244 I had marked down, another quote from, I think this was Mr. Pepperhorn was saying this. And he says, when you control the magic, you control the town. The impossible task is only as binding and powerful as the witches enforcing it. That's something you didn't read in your little books, did you? So that part where he says, when you control the magic, you control the town, I was like, that hits so much because it's like, it just reminds you like how much, you know, when you are in a position of power, like you can basically do whatever, and how helpless a lot of people can feel when they don't have that position of power. You know, especially with what's going on today in the country, it's like you have a group of people that have power, and even though a majority wants one thing, we're not seeing it happen because that small group is the one controlling everything.
Right.
So.
Yeah, true. And then I have one more quote that's on page 327. And it says, Seven thought it impossible to believe that she could ever be the second most powerful witch in her town, since a spare had never ever been an uncle before. But now Seven knew that impossible things were not always what they seemed.
Ooh,
that friendship and love and trust made anything possible.
Oh, so
I
good.
love that quote.
Yay.
So cute.
So good.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
This was a really good book.
It was. This was wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we all enjoyed it, and yeah, that we've had really good books this year.
Yeah.
And I just realized, we were talking about earlier, Tristan Strong being the other middle grade reread, and the author, yeah, he blurred.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait,
yes.
Oh, he did blurb it.
Yeah, and then J.C. Cervantes, who is the best-selling author of the Storm Runner series, which is the Rick Riordan Presents line. That's what that line is under. Blurbed it on the back cover.
Nice.
Too.
Wow.
So, yeah. So some big hitting names on some of these.
Nice.
Cool.
Wow.
So, oh no, Alicia.
Oh.
You know, I just realized that there was a table of content in this.
Also, love the little pics and yes, chapter titles.
Yeah.
The chapter headers and
not
stuff.
Just in middle grade. Yes.
And the pictures, yeah.
Which actually,
It's
our book pick for June for Pride Month is The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School by Sonora Reyes, but actually she's got chapter titles.
Oh, does she?
Which is really cool because this is a YA.
Yay.
And it starts, I actually haven't started yet, but the first chapter I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. Thou shalt not trust a two-faced bitch.
Oh,
Wow!
Perfect first liner.
A little bit different, I think.
Just a little bit different.
We'll see if Yamilet is as spicy as Seven.
Oh.
I love when they have first liners that just hook you like that. That's how I felt with Amari. Like when I read that first part, I'm like, it grabs you in, and her voice is so strong.
Yes, I'm looking forward to reading this one. So it seems like she'll have really good voice. Alicia said, sorry, got kicked off. See you next time. Can't wait to read our next one. Yay!
Yay!
Bye, Alicia.
Yay! Thank you, Alicia, for discussing it with us. And thank you, everyone, for joining us to discuss Witchlings. If you're watching the replay, thank you. You can still let us know your thoughts in the comments. And then, please join us to read this book for June, and then be on the lookout for our 2-year anniversary party. Yay!
Yay!
It's gonna be fun.
And then all of my lovely co-hosts are their I think it's their Instagrams are linked down below, or YouTube channels. So please check them out, give them a follow, because they're all wonderful. And we will see you over on Goodreads and during the next discussion. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.